Recently, a devotee sent me a link to a report of a new agey sounding retreat. I'll read it, and you can consider how this is the kind of pseudo-spiritual hocus-pocus that we as members of Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON should stand well apart from. Just listen, and you'll see how it's full of platitudes and cliches and buzzwords which might sound, quote-unquote, spiritual to persons who like the idea of being spiritual, but are not very serious about it. It's almost as if ChatGPT was asked to write a report in the most typical, superficial, new agey, feel-good, all fluff and no substance kind of language. Okay, I'll read it. The name of the organization. Such and such organization recently hosted a transformative Discover Yourself Day Retreat. The retreat welcomed 300 attendees from all walks of life of various ages, backgrounds, and cultures, uniting in a shared pursuit of self-discovery and spiritual growth. People from diverse communities gathered to uplift one another on their spiritual journeys, embracing the power of togetherness and personal growth. The day began with an engaging icebreaker session, creating an atmosphere of connection and camaraderie. This was followed by a rotation of 4 dynamic workshops designed to guide attendees toward discovering their unique selves. A yoga and fitness workshop that emphasized the importance of nurturing one's physical well-being, treating the body as a temple, and cultivating inner peace through yoga. A wisdom talk that delved into the challenges of the mind and offered practical tips for overcoming mental obstacles and finding inner clarity. A mandala art and journaling session aimed at healing the inner child and unlocking creative expression. A Gita walk in nature where participants grounded themselves in the natural world, aligning their chakras and connecting to the divine through the beauty of the outdoors. A wholesome lunch followed, offering a nourishing break before the afternoon sessions. The retreat continued with a magic show that illustrated the illusions of the mind, reminding everyone of the importance of self-control. This was followed by an uplifting talk and questions and answers with the world-renowned monk, whose name I won't say, whose wisdom and guidance inspired all in attendance. The day concluded with a joyful mantra meditation where participants, many of whom had never met before, sang and danced together in unity, celebrating the shared experience. The diverse, multicultural audience reflected the spirit of inclusion, with everyone coming together in a profound and uplifting experience. This retreat was a beautiful example of how people from different backgrounds and walks of life can unite in their spiritual journey. So let's go back a little bit and just do a little critique of all the fluff, or some of the fluff there. A shared pursuit of self-discovery and spiritual growth. All vague. What does it mean? What does it mean by self-discovery and spiritual growth? People from diverse communities, it's very important to say diverse. It was said near the beginning and at the end again, diverse, multicultural. Very important, you have to be diverse. To uplift one another on their spiritual journey. What spiritual journey? What spiritual journey? The spiritual journey begins, you actually start moving, or you can have the opportunity to start moving, when you're informed of the difference between the soul and the body. You can't really start any spiritual journey until you have a clear understanding of what it means to be spiritual. But people love this word spiritual without defining it, so that they can feel spiritual without actually having to commit to the discipline and the clear direction of an actual spiritual journey. Another quote, embracing the power of togetherness and personal growth. Again, it's all feel-good kind of language, but it doesn't really mean anything. Or you can interpret it to mean whatever you like. And then discovering their unique selves aimed at healing the inner child. What's this inner child thing? We don't find any such idea in the Vedic literature. In other words, it's all speculation. This idea of the inner child developed from atheistic worldviews influenced by the atheist Sigmund Freud, who emphasized what he considered to be the lasting impact of early childhood experiences on the adult emotional life. And the inner child has so many unresolved conflicts, psychological conflicts, and repressed memories from psychosexual development stages. Freud didn't use the term inner child, but his speculations about child psychology and how it influences the mind later, it laid the foundation for later theories. And in the 1970s and 1980s, when all this New Age stuff was on the up and up, the inner child became a prominent theme with the rise of all this self-help, humanistic psychology, do-it-yourself spiritualism, and all that balderdash. So, inner child, what is all this about an inner child? We know from the Vedic literature, from Bhagavad-gita, we have the false ego, which is impelling us to continue on our non-spiritual journey. And our real spiritual journey begins when we accept, at least theoretically, that we are spiritual beings separate from the body. We're eternal servants of Krishna. And our real life is in service to Krishna. Anyway, next thing I'm going to talk a little bit about, it mentions aligning their chakras by going for a walk in nature. What does it mean, aligning their chakras? What does it mean? It's not explained. I know what it means, and as far as I understand, this chakra thing is from Kundalini Yoga, and it's a very intense process, and it's not just that by going for a walk in the fields or in the woods that you can align your chakras, whatever that means. Connecting to the divine through the beauty of the outdoors. The whole report is chock-a-block with impersonal, trendy, mumbo-jumbo, diverse, multicultural, the spirit of inclusion, profound, uplifting. Which bogus organization this time is it that's propagating all this nonsense? Well, let me read the first line of the article, which I didn't previously. This is from the Bhaktivedanta Mana website, and the article is titled From UK's School of Bhakti Welcomes 300 to Discover Yourself Retreat. This is dated March the 24th, 2025, and the article begins, the School of Bhakti recently hosted a transformative Discover Yourself Day retreat at the Mana's Sri Krishna Haveli. In other words, this is not coming from some cheap pseudo-spiritual organization, but from the one movement which has Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mandate to give real knowledge of Bhagavad-gita and real knowledge of bhakti for saving the world from the ignorance of lack of genuine spiritual knowledge and from the cheating of all these pseudo-spiritual paths and pseudo-gurus. And especially that, considering that many won't go beyond the website, it misrepresents what Bhaktivedanta Mana is, what we as representatives of Srila Prabhupada and the Gauriya Vaishnava tradition are supposed to stand for. To be fair, from the same article, it states the School of Bhakti offers many more retreats throughout the year, so if you missed this one, don't mix the next opportunity. In the meantime, explore the wide variety of courses they offer, ranging from gut health to japa, being climate conscious, and in-depth studies of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I understand that they're trying to reach out to Westerners, which is laudable, but why like this? It makes it more difficult to get our real message across. Is this the message of Bhaktivedanta Mana? Gut health and being climate conscious is just one of the things, along with japa and Srimad Bhagavatam study. It's all mixed up, jimble jumble. It's bridge preaching, what they call bridge preaching. Presumably, bridge preaching started with good intentions, but this has gone too far. If at all it is to be done, it shouldn't be done at ISKCON centers, especially not one as important as Bhaktivedanta Mana, and probably best not in the name of ISKCON at all. If you really feel you have to do this bridge preaching. This bridge preaching, you can see, it's gone dangerously wrong. You might be introducing Krishna consciousness in a roundabout way, but it's a long way from anyabhilashita shunya jnanakamadyanavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktirutama. ISKCON is meant for propagating pure devotional service to Krishna, freed from any coverings, either the idea of material enjoyment or the idea of spirituality without service to Krishna, without favorable service to Krishna. Bridge preaching avoids that. Where is the end of this slippery slope bridge preaching? Turning devotees into de facto or overt atheists or uncommitted supposed devotees. I like Krishna consciousness, but I respect all spirituality and I follow my heart. At Bhaktivedanta Mana, at the end of one Bhagavad-gita lecture, Srila Prabhupada dropped this bomb of a statement. Don't make this temple a brothel. The evening before, at Bhaktivedanta Mana, devotees had organized a rock concert with the idea of attracting Westerners. Many people came, and some reefers, marijuana joints, were being smoked, and that's on a summer evening. Some young men and women were seen going off into the woods. So Srila Prabhupada saw all this from his room. The concert was held outside on the lawn, and Srila Prabhupada said, don't make this temple a brothel. To which we can add, don't make it a smorgasbord of pop spirituality. It's a betrayal of Srila Prabhupada, who established Bhaktivedanta Mana for propagating pure devotional service and driving Kaitava dharma, cheating religion, out of the world. It's a betrayal of so many devotees who worked so hard for so many years serving Bhaktivedanta Mana and Radha Gokulananda. It's a betrayal of the book distributors and other preachers who work so hard to awaken inherent Krishna consciousness in people, who then can look up the Bhaktivedanta Mana website and get diverted into this. How can we think that Radha Gokulananda are happy that their home is used to propagate this non-devotional garbage? Where is the GBC on this? Where is the temple president? Why don't they stop this? The whole GBC should stamp out such nonsense wherever it arises within the movement. It's a big scandal or a big fuss if a sannyasi misbehaves. But in many ways this is worse, because if a sannyasi does something wrong, sexual misconduct or whatever, it should be clear that there's something wrong. It doesn't change our mission, our goal, our purpose. We want to bring people in. We are concerned about the misguided populace who are so far from Krishna. But we cannot adjust our core practices and teachings. Here's a quote from Srila Prabhupada's letter to Chris on 13th of November 1968. Our philosophy is to worship Radha and Krishna. We don't make any hodgepodge or any compromise. If you like, you can accept it, and if you are fortunate, you will accept and be happy. But this hodgepodge nonsense will never help you. Just like we prescribe certain rules and restrictions for our disciples so they can make real advancement in spiritual life. This Yogananda gives no restrictions or regulative principles to his disciples, and thereby collects all nonsense class of men. But if you put restrictions, then not so many will come, but sincere ones will come. Those who are actually sincerely searching after real spiritual life. This Yogananda accepts everything as bona fide because he simply doesn't know what is bona fide and what is nonsense. So there is no need to waste your time. Then, in another letter to Yogeshwar, 28th of December 1971, if we simply present Krishna consciousness in a serious and attractive way, without need to resort to fashionable slogans or tricks, that is sufficient. Our unique asset is our purity. No one anywhere can match it. That will be noticed eventually and appreciated as long as we do not diminish or neglect the highest standard of purity in performing our routine work. Not that we require to display or announce ourselves in very clever ways to get attention. No, our pure standard is enough. Let us stand on that basis. Srila Prabhupada wrote, our unique asset is our purity. So I can comment on that. The purity means in following rules and regulations, and in philosophy, we stick to what the acharyas have given. Should we make the motto for ISKCON today, Janiya Shuniya Bisha Kainu, from Narottam Das's song. Manusha Janama Paya Radha Krishna Bhajiya Janiya Shuniya Bisha Kainu. Having obtained the human form of life, I didn't worship Radha and Krishna, so knowingly I've taken poison. So we know what the actual message is, but we're speaking something else. It might be that devotees speak a different message in different venues, and we feel okay with them when they speak devotionally in a temple class, but then they go somewhere else and speak something else. In other words, when they're speaking to the devotees in the temple, they speak according to parampara, but elsewhere they speak something completely different, just like we just heard. So it raises the question, or might raise the question in the minds of outsiders, well, what do you actually believe? You say one thing to us, and then when you're in the temple, you say different things. But it might be that the devotees themselves start to believe all this stuff because that they're talking all this New Age mumbo jumbo. Because sangat sanjayate kamaha. We develop desire according to that which we associate with. Of course, there are different pitches to different audiences and different circumstances, but the message must be that of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, not New Age or anything else. And this applies to devotees in academia also. You have to be very careful not to mix up with atheistic ideas, because the academia, they say it's agnostic, actually it's atheistic. We're supposed to give the highest truth, reality, distinguished from illusion for the benefit of all. If we give illusion instead of the highest truth, then it's kaitava dharma, cheating religion. Please have faith that, as Srila Prabhupada stated, if we simply present Krishna consciousness in a serious and attractive way without need to resort to fashionable slogans or tricks, that is sufficient. Take it from Srila Prabhupada. We shouldn't and we don't have to preach in this roundabout way. One reason Srila Prabhupada was able to be so successful, so unexpectedly, when so many of his exalted godbrothers that thought that preaching in the West was impossible, one major reason was because he had faith that if the message of Krishna is spoken as it is, then it will have its effect. And we should not underestimate the power of Krishna's message. We should not avoid our duty to present that message as it is. Even if by talking all this New Age claptrap, mumbo-jumbo to attract people, even if somehow or other we're able to bring people in and bring some of them to some kind of Krishna consciousness, still, we shouldn't do this. Or even if you say, well, 300 people came, they saw the deities, they took prasad, they participated in chanting, but you are feeding poison with the nectar. Why? What is the need? Even if they do take to Krishna consciousness, they chant 16 rounds, they follow 4 regulative principles, do they understand that Mayavad is poison? Do they understand that if you speak all this New Age claptrap, that it's all nonsense? Srila Prabhupada's self-composed pranam mantra states, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Srila Prabhupada came to save us from all this Mayavad, impersonalistic rascaldom. Why should we speak that which he came to stop? Srila Prabhupada wanted his movement to be distinct from all these nonsense, bogus, semi-spiritualists, pseudo-spiritualists. He wanted that people could see the difference. He himself would point out those who are cheating by speaking all nonsense in the name of spirituality. But how can we expose the cheaters if we talk the same garbage as they do? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.